In this video, we'll go over some key components of the elementary school UDL projects for the 2011-2012 school year, and hopefully answer a lot of questions you may have as you consider applying. This project really supports the implementation of UDL at your school and tries to find ways for us to contribute to that effort at the county level and the national and state level as well. If you're wondering what UDL is a framework that provides some flexibility for how information is presented for students, in the ways students respond, how they demonstrate their knowledge and skills, and how we try to find different ways to engage students. The focus of UDL is to reduce barriers to learning, to provide appropriate supports and challenges so that all learners in the classroom can access the curriculum and instruction, with a key focus on maintaining high instructional achievement expectations for all students. For the next year, we're going to have the Instructional Technology Leadership Team at your school, or the UDL Leadership Team, and there's some benefits that you'll gain from being selected to be a member of that team. The first is that you're going to receive some customized training and year-long support on universal design for learning and how to meaningfully and thoughtfully integrate technology into instruction to support all learners. There's some things that'll be in your classroom that's going to support that integration of UDL throughout the year and over the next couple years. The first is a digital video camera that you'll be provided, and the goal of that is you can use it in the course of instruction with students, and we also want you to try to find ways to use that to capture some real short clips of things happening in the classroom, take some pictures of different ways you're using different tools in the classroom, and contribute to some dialogue through these images and video that you capture to what UDL looks like in the classroom and some different ways that you've been able to integrate technology to support all learners. We'll be providing you some additional headsets, some audio splitters that allow for a number of students to be on a netbook or a laptop at one time, and some additional mice for students. The key component of the project in terms of equipment is that we're looking at different ways to support 8 of the UDL leadership classrooms with 4 netbook carts. And the goal of that is that we want to have the teachers in those classrooms have consistent access to these so that they can be built into their instruction as a matter of routine and not have something that needs to be necessarily scheduled in advance and planned for as a special project. The goal of this is to find different ways and some best practices that we can share on how netbook computers, mobile computing devices, and other things can be integrated into teacher routines for planning and delivery of instruction, and how that can impact a variety of learners. There's some other benefits that you'll find from being a member of the Instructional Technology Leadership Team. And as you go into the application, there's a link to a VoiceThread, which is an online video that has some comments from teachers from this past year at the middle school level, where we had UDL leadership teams at Lakelands Park Middle School, Rosa Parks Middle School, and Tilden Middle School. And some of the things that they'll report in there and that you'll find this year is that you'll be able to have the opportunity to serve as a mentor and a coach for school staff on how to implement UDL strategies. You'll be able to earn ETIP hours and be recognized as an ETIPS leader in MCPS. There's more information on the Hyatt website on ETIPS, and I'll take you on a quick tour of where that material is at the end of this video. A lot of the strategies that you'll be generating, both for your own classroom and things you'll collaborate on as a team at your school and across all 3 schools, are going to be things that we'll be sharing with MCPS leadership. And many of the things that we'll be developing as part of this project are going to be prominently highlighted on the MCPS website. That's going to be accessed by teachers, staff, parents throughout the county, and also nationally. So when you're thinking about applying for the Instructional Technology Leadership Team or the UDL Leadership Team, We're looking for general education staff, special education staff, specialists, media specialists, or paraprofessionals. And the key component is we're looking for people who want to integrate technology into instruction. We are not just looking for technology all-stars. What we're really looking for are people who have a basic comfort with technology and want to expand the different things they may do in their classrooms related to technology, and also explore different low-tech or no-tech ways that they can offer choice for students and how they gain information and show what they know. But that's really a key message I want to get through to you, is that if you feel like you're not the most tech-savvy person in the building, but you do want to learn more about how to integrate technology to help students, you'd be a great candidate for this team. There are some key components, though, in addition to having some basic interest in learning some more about technology, and that is people on this team are going to be asked to do a lot of collaboration, a lot of coaching, a lot of mentoring, and some training. And so you really have to be oriented towards promoting collaboration between general education and special education or other specialists in the building, and pulling people together to figure out how to provide access to the general education curriculum for all students. You really have to be motivated to explore and add new flexible teaching methods and materials so that you can improve the achievement of all students. And finally, and this is real critical, if you are not someone who is interested in taking things that you do in your classroom and really being a coach and a mentor to support your peers throughout the building, you're going to be very frustrated by this project. We really put a big, strong emphasis on this piece. There's some commitments that you should know about when you're thinking about joining the UDL team. The first is you're going to have one 60 to 90 minute meeting per month before or after school. That's going to be more of a kind of a collaborative work session, but there'll also be some information that's shared and some surveys or other things that you'll be doing during that time. But primarily it's going to focus on, or try to make it as much as possible about a way of supporting each other and getting some things started that you'll use in the classroom. A key component of this is that there's a 3-credit online CPD course on UDL leadership, and that's going to take place throughout the 2011-2012 school year. All members of the ITLT team are required to take this course and complete it throughout the school year, and that's a typical workload for a 3-credit graduate level course. It's just going to be online. Not all of it's going to be necessarily all of us online at the same time. There'll be some things you'll be able to do on your own time. Some of it will be synchronous, and that will all have to be online at the same time. And we'll have a few face-to-face meetings throughout the year, but most of it will be online. And if you have any questions, my email is at the end of this presentation. The other thing is that you need to be willing to use some additional planning time to commit to technology integration, planning for meaningful student choices and learning, and collaboration. And those are things that you just need to, there's going to be a lot of new things, and that always adds for a little more planning time throughout the course of the year. A key component too is that you need to be committed to sharing materials, sharing examples of things you're doing, sharing strategies, and we're going to use some method of a secure online professional social network to do that, and it'll be real user friendly. We'll make sure everyone's comfortable with it. And finally, the last thing is, by agreeing to be on the team, you're agreeing to have an open classroom. Members of the UDL support team, like myself, are going to be visiting classrooms at least once a month, coming through, seeing what everyone's doing, sharing ideas that we see from other classrooms, talking about things that we could all try to add to our repertoire of strategies and materials and tools used in the classrooms. And you're going to be contributing a lot to data collection for this, about what's working, what's not, what challenges everyone's experiencing. And that's going to be through some surveys and some self-reflections, certainly as part of the CPD course, but also some other things like that as well. There's a couple engines that are really going to drive this team growth throughout the year. A couple things that are going to take place all year long. The first is that monthly in-person meeting, again, before or after school. We're going to work that out at your school level with your administration. The other thing is that online 3 CPD credit course. Again, that's required for everyone to enroll in and complete throughout the course of the year. There's going to be classroom visits monthly for UDL walkthroughs of instructional practices related to UDL look-fors. And those are just, we're going to be coming through, collecting data as a whole group. It's not really about a specific teacher in terms of evaluating. It's more looking at trends across the school, across the whole 3 teams, and ways to structure our support and dialogue around how to implement UDL in the classroom. The online 3 CPD credit course is going to focus a lot on giving you information on universal design for learning, especially in the beginning, giving you ideas for ways to integrate technology and offer meaningful student choices in the classroom. And as the year goes on, it's going to focus a lot on what are the best practices for mentoring and coaching, and how to begin to engage the entire school on supporting them in implementing UDL across the whole school. There's some things that are going to be a little different between the fall. There's going to the flow of the year is going to move from, in the fall, the focus is really for the members of the team are going to be looking at how can they implement new UDL instructional practices in their classrooms with some of the additional materials and tools that are in there, integrating resources provided through the elementary school integrated curriculum and some ARA-funded tools. And one of the ways that we'll do that is both through the UDL walkthroughs in terms of keeping track of what's happening in the classrooms and setting goals, but also through a self-reflection on UDL implementation survey that is just going to ask you on a couple different measures, what things have you done in the past month, and what frequency have you done them, and what are 1 or 2 things you want to focus on in the next month maybe to add, and how can we support each other in that. So that's the first half of the year. In the spring, what we ask you to do is you start to get towards December, we ask you to really start thinking about consolidating some of the new things that you learned, even if you don't feel like you really added a ton of new things. Our goal is that in the second half of the year, beginning in January, that this team is going to turn out towards the entire school and really focus on what they can do to do outreach, to train, and to coach other school staff on UDL instructional practices, tools, and materials. We'll be asking you to complete a pretty consistent survey that tries to detail and set goals for your outreach and plans. Again, we try to make everything we do in this very manageable, but we try to be consistent about the focus and setting goals and reflecting on that. And the other thing that we'll do in the second half of the year is we start to take a finer focus on how are the changes that you're doing in your classroom impacting students, and you'll do that through a couple different ways of reflecting on student impact of your UDL practices, and those are really key components of sharing with other staff in your school, other staff in the county, about why particular strategies really are meaningful, how do they fit into your routine, and really focus on how they positively impact student performance. So those are the engines that kind of drive this in the fall and the spring in a little different ways. For the 2012-2013 school year, the UDL leadership team will continue. Then it's going to really focus on kicking to high gear about coaching and mentoring teammates as a whole school, both through relationships you have in your school, through teams that you already work on, and through school-wide staff development that's planned for and delivered. There's going to be provide ongoing professional development for all staff in your building on UDL and technology integration. We're going to ask that you continue to develop and share classroom video examples that are incredibly powerful on giving ideas to other people, both low-tech, no-tech, and technology-supported ways that materials and different tools can support UDL implementation. Some of these things might be uploaded to the EIC website for different courses and different grade levels, and many of them will be uploaded and shared via the Hyatt website, and I'll show you some examples of what the middle school teams have done with that this year. And finally, we really will ask you to consider opportunities to contribute to or lead county-wide professional development on UDL. One thing that has happened already this year is we've had a number of staff at schools that were on these middle school teams do county-wide webinars on different topics that they probably wouldn't have guessed they would have done in the beginning of the year, but they had great information to share, and those were really well received, and we'll continue to tap into those resources as we go into the second year of the project. There's some other things you should know about in terms of the equipment, such as the netbooks, and we really focus on some specific guidance on how those are located in the building and also how they're delivered in the classroom. In the fall, what we'll ask is that that equipment funded through the UDL Leadership Project are primarily restricted to the targeted UDL team classrooms. And the goal of that is we want this equipment to be there to consistently accessed for the teams to really develop some deeper implementation, some instructional practices and resources that they can share when people have consistent access to this and can really build it into a routine day after day after day, with the goal that you get some great examples of deep UDL implementation, that the access to the equipment is predictable, and that we generate some very rich and effective examples of how this can impact student achievement. In the spring, in terms of the equipment, it can change a little bit. We ask that all this equipment continue to be anchored in these 8 classrooms for many of the same reasons I just stated. But we also suggest that people will consider sharing some of these resources with colleagues near their classroom, really to promote their exploration of different ways they can integrate these into UDL guided lessons, and that's really going to be at the discretion of the team and the administration. And there's a really more of an enhanced focus on sharing implementation examples both in their classrooms for the UDL leadership team and other things that happen in the school as well. One of the things that you'll receive this year as part of the project is you'll receive support throughout the whole year and into next year from the Hyatt UDL support team. And I'll go over and share a little bit about the Hyatt website and some resources that are on there. But there's 4 of us on the team: myself, Bill McGrath, Linda Wilson, Etna Ellis, and Cindy Walsh. Will be coming to the schools in August and September. Obviously, there'll be some new equipment in the building. We'll be doing some things to get the initial project started up, and we'll be there weekly in August and September to facilitate that. Throughout the year, there's going to be routine scheduled monthly visits from that point forward, with additional in-person support as requested if you need it. And the goal of that routine, about once a month, will come out. It'll be scheduled, fairly predictable timing of it. The goal of that will be coming through and doing walkthroughs of every classroom, the 8 classrooms on the team, going through, seeing what look-fors we see in the classrooms, which things we can focus on, what are some great examples that are happening. If there is assistance we can provide with taking some pictures or taking some really short video of things happening in the classroom, we could do that as well on that day that we're out. And if teachers have specific things they want to sit down with and plan for a lesson with someone from the Hyatt UDL support team, you can do that as well. And finally, because there's everyone's going to be using some new hardware, some new equipment, and some software that is new to them, we're going to be available throughout the year at that time and whenever you need us to provide technical assistance. The Hyatt website can provide a lot of resources on UDL and what this team will do. On the Montgomery County main webpage, you can search for Hyatt in the main search box. That'll pull up a link to the HIAT or Hyatt webpage. On that webpage, you're going to find a lot of resources. There are resources on technology, quick guides and videos, different ways, there are websites that can help offer some flexibility and choices for how students gain information and show what they know. And finally, some information on this project, the project we did this current school year with the middle schools, and also some information if you want to learn more about UDL. So if you click on UDL resources under Universal Design for Learning, and then you have an option of learning some more about UDL. There's also a link to some UDL classroom implementation video examples. And if you just want to get a basic understanding about what is UDL, you can click on the Learn More Now under the Learn label in the left-hand corner. And when you click on that, you'll be presented with a number of sites you can link to. And one thing that you may want to link to is the interactive presentations on UDL. And there'll be a lot more of these up in the next couple months, but right now a good one is UDL Essential Understandings. And on there you'll have a narrated PowerPoint with a lot of links to some specific video classroom examples and links to other resources that can help you understand different ways that teachers in the project this year at the middle school level have implemented UDL in the classroom. If you have any additional questions, please send me an email at william_mcgrath@mcpsmd.org or William McGrath in Outlook.